I want to show you guys a really good way to improve your coordination, technique, and a way to improve your control over the ball with pushing the ball. So it's a way to learn how to push the ball. It also gives you a lot more control with your technique, and it's also a great way to learn more coordination with a squash swing. So the exercise is really simple. And I did this a lot to improve my coordination. I'd done it before, but then I changed the way that I thought about how I was doing this drill. It's very simple, but this very simple drill improved my game dramatically because it improved the way that I pushed the ball and it improved my coordination and technique. So this drill is probably my favorite drill, and I would say that every single squash player could improve by doing this drill. So whether you're beginner to advanced to professional, because you're understanding what you're doing with your racket face. So the drill is, there's a little square here on the service box just below me, and I'm going to hit the ball against the side wall, and I'm trying to hit this square. But the reason I'm using this square is because I've got this short line in front of me, and I can use this short line as a gauge or a guide to see what I'm doing with my racket face. So this whole exercise is, I don't want to come around the ball. I don't want to have any curve in my swing. I want to try and keep my swing as straight as possible. I want to keep my racket face parallel with that wall, because if it's parallel with that wall, then the ball has to go straight. It can't not deviate from that direction unless I change the racket face angle, and that's up and down. But to begin with, just try and get the angle right and then work on height afterwards. So we'll do the exercise, and when you're doing it, it is very difficult to see what you're doing with your racket face. So what you can do is kind of stop and then look at your racket face and look where it is back here behind you. If the racket face is really open, then try and turn your elbow around and pull your racket face around so your elbow is always facing backwards, right? So keep your elbow facing backwards, push that ball forwards. And the next thing you'll notice is that I'm not doing loops this way, right? So I'm going straight backwards and forwards. So I'm giving myself more time and not doing a loop. I'm going directly backwards and forwards, and I'm trying to keep a nice straight line. So things to look out for on this little drill is that racket face and keeping your arm nice and straight so it's like a pendulum motion, and you're trying to hit the ball in pretty much the same spot, so just behind your front foot. So just behind your front foot is where the racket face is starting to come up, and you're pushing the racket face up, down, right? So when you're doing this exercise, do the exercise, stop, look and see where your racket face is, look and see where your racket face is at the end of your swing. If your racket face is not facing the front wall or the side wall, then you're not doing it right. It is really important that you get it as straight as possible so that you're getting the ball to go where you want. And what this means is that if you can get the racket to go straight from there to there, you can hit the ball anywhere in this zone, in like the strike zone where you normally hit the ball, and you can push the ball anywhere you want. So it's giving you more control. Because if you can't pull your racket face around to begin with, then you're really going to struggle to hit the ball behind you and gain a lot of control when you're in the back corners, or if the ball comes at you and you're hitting the ball too late and the ball's back here, or if you're trying to hit the ball really, really early, you've got to be able to pull your wrist around and not have this tendency to pull the racket face towards you. You've got to be able to push the racket face more forward. So it's giving you a lot more coordination, a lot more control, and you're learning to push the ball. So give that a go, and you can do the exact same thing on the backhand. So follow the line, look at your racket face direction. And I've got another little tip that you can do, which I'll show you I'll do a little demonstration video at the end of what you can do to see how much straight you can get that push to go. So what I've got here is a string or a shoelace, a really long shoelace, and it's tied onto the door of the court and just a chair I found out the back. So why I'm using this string is if you pull a string tight between two objects and tie it off like this, then you've got a perfectly straight line. And why we want a perfectly straight line is just to see if we are pushing our racket straight. So we can use this just as a guide. So it's not necessarily exactly how you would swing or anything like that. It's just for that same thing that you were doing down there on the corner of the service box when you're pushing that ball against the side wall and you're trying to hit that square. This is basically just a guide that tells you if your racket is pulling the string, or if you're pulling up on the string, or if your racket's not 90 degrees to the string. So we don't want our racket to be like this on an angle going across the string. We want to keep it 90 degrees, because if we push our racket along the string and this racket face is 90 degrees to this string line on all corners, and we push it nice and straight without moving the string, if we were to hit this ball as we push it along the string line, the ball would end up exactly at the end of that string line. So exactly where it is tied onto that wall there. So we're going to push our racket along the string without pulling or pushing the string over, or pulling it towards you, or pushing it down or pulling it up. The tighter the string, the easier it is, but you can kind of feel when you're pulling it or pushing it too much. So this just gives you an idea of what you're doing with your wrist. So when you're pushing the racket forward, you're also keeping the palm of your hand facing the wall as well. So you're not, the palm of your hand isn't towards you. So make sure you're focusing on that palm of your hand and the face of the racket, so that you're pushing that racket nice and flat. So if you're really struggling with that exercise and you're finding that your racket face is coming around or opening up when you're coming back on that little coordination drill, give this a go. Or even if you are doing that little drill pretty easily, give this a go as well, just for a bit of fun. See how good you are at pushing that racket face straight along that string line. So if you want some more tips, then don't forget to subscribe.